Happy Friday, crew. I'm going to take some time this morning because I'm in a very good mood and the sun is shining to show you one of the most optimistic things that I've been seeing out there in the sentiment data. As you all know, I have a bunch of different cohorts of Bitcoiners that I like to analyze closely. Today, we're going to look at what I think might be the highest signal one. These are people that I've been calling Bitcoin pragmatists. They are not always bullish, not always bearish. They are in aggregate much more optimistic about Bitcoin over the long term, but they're not always euphoric. And if you're looking at the Bitcoin price here and some of the price action since 2023, you'll kind of see this playing out. So in the two lines below, I have the gray line, which represents the average newer Bitcoin user, the pleb, so to speak, like the smaller Bitcoin accounts. And in the red and green, that will be our Bitcoin pragmatists, where you can watch the levels of their optimism in the language that they've used over time. During this entire duration of the bear market, this cohort of users that have traditionally been much more accurate at estimating the Bitcoin price, they've been a little bit more muted at tops. They were very muted through the bear market. And then when the price inflection began to switch here, they became disproportionately bullish, using a lot more optimistic language. This settled off after price chopped here. And even when price rocketed up to all-time highs, this cohort was more muted, more subdued. And this is very reflective of why I've been watching this group so closely. The more I've analyzed their data, the more I've seen that they deviate from the average Bitcoin user in interesting ways, at interesting inflection points. So when things are overheated, they're a little bit more muted. You see this trend continue and how deviations exist at tops between the average smaller Bitcoin account comparatively to this cohort who's a little bit of a wiser investor, perhaps. Deviates again when we reach all-time highs and we start breaking through. They tend to be more optimistic here. And then you'll see there a very wide gap here right before the last sell-off. Which brings me to today and why I want to share this little optimistic piece of information with you. As you can see, after the sell-off here, they've been continually more optimistic than the average user. Where this has been trending down and to the right for the smaller Bitcoin accounts, these guys have been consistently more bullish. This is also reflected in the fact that long-term holders have been buying Bitcoin at a crazy rate recently. But I thought it was interesting looking at the sentiment language too, that these people are still bullish and have been very accurate, as this has been a good representation, at least in the past, before serious run-ups. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I just want to drop in quick. I'm seeing a ton of crypto traders out there claiming we're going to see price levels down to the 30 and 40K range. Like they know what's going on and they're wise and educated in these markets. But some of the most high value users that I've been watching do not agree with them and makes me pretty optimistic when they're optimistic.